So last night, Audioholics hosted a YouTube live stream with Kaleidescape talking about their offerings and products and so on. I came into it late, but I watched the entirety of it and I was contributing and discussing in the chat in the latter half. And a lot of the conversation in the chat contained a lot of the usual difficult conversations surrounding Kaleidescape and the way people view it and that sort of thing. And I just don't get all of that. So I wanted to talk about a few concepts related to K and basically enthusiast sentiment. So we have effectively, I would say, 4 fundamental ways to watch a movie at home nowadays. Broadcast, disc, streaming, and Kaleidescape. Now, if you're watching movies, particularly in a critical home theater setting, via like broadcast television, Comcast, whatever, or DirecTV Stream or YouTube TV or one of those types of apps, I'm going to revoke your home theater enthusiast card right now. That's probably the lowest fidelity, lowest quality way to watch a movie. If you just don't care and you just want to see a movie, then fine. DVR it, watch it on broadcast or whatever. But in this channel, in this enthusiast home theater space, we're talking about expensive systems, big time gear. I can't fathom anybody watching a movie via broadcast. That's done. And then we have disc. So I'm not going to go so far as to say like immediately, right, disc is dead, disc is all over or whatnot. But I don't think you can refute the idea that disc is a diminishing media. Physical media for everything is diminishing. I mean, just look around. What's going on at your store? My local Best Buy is down to one small little rack of movies now. And how long before that goes away? Where are the CDs? Who knows? They're all gone. I can't tell you the last time I bought a video game on a disc. It just doesn't make sense to do that anymore, hardly. And while we might have seen more catalog titles and seemingly more releases in the last 18 months or so on disc, I think there's a false factor there because of COVID. There wasn't as much new material to be releasing, so the studios and everybody wanted to make some money, so they went back to the well a little bit deeper than I think they would have otherwise. So I think there's only like a buoying factor, a bit of a false buoying factor to the physical media releases for movies that we've seen that I don't really think is going to last, in my opinion. The world is just moving beyond physical media. We're moving to things being online, digitally delivered, web delivered, and all of that sort of thing. So discs are great. They're still going to be around for a long time, but they're going to be increasingly less releases. I don't believe at all that there's going to be another disc format pushing fidelity, pushing technicals beyond 4K. It's a diminishing medium, and it has a dead-end life cycle at some point in my lifetime for sure. So then we have streaming, and I'm going to break streaming up into 2 categories because people say streaming and they don't really delineate between those, and they usually mean one of 2 things. You have streaming where you buy a movie from iTunes or buy it from Vudu and you own it digitally, it's part of your library, it's part of your collection, and then you have Netflix, the subscription thing. I'm throwing all of the subscription stuff out, so what we're talking about here is content delivered to you that you have in a library, that you have in a collection. And so a lot of people disdain streaming, especially in a high-end theater environment or whatnot, but I don't mind streaming a lot of my content. Streaming quality is getting better. Yes, it's substandard to Kaleidescape and it's substandard to disc, but we'll see how it continues to advance and to grow. But the reality is, right now, it is lower fidelity content. And if you're spending all this money on your theater gear, your rooms, your spaces, and so on, and you want the highest quality content delivered to you, it's not a stream. It's not iTunes. It's not Vudu. It's certainly not Amazon and any of those. And if you want to maintain a library of content, it's not Disney Plus, it's not HBO Max, and it's not Netflix. You got to buy your content from somebody to maintain a library. So then we have Kaleidescape. And the thing that I don't think people get enough is like Kaleidescape is built for cinephiles, audiophiles, videophiles, by cinephiles, by audiophiles, by videophiles. They are catering to us, and they have a veritable monopoly on what they provide. When disc goes away, or disc continues to diminish away to nothing in the years ahead, K is the only thing that we have left for high fidelity content. We need them to succeed and grow and evolve. We want them to succeed and grow and evolve. Who knows if and when Apple or Vudu or whoever is actually going to see fit to deliver super high bitrate, high fidelity content. Yeah, Sony launched Bravia Core, but it's only available on Sony TVs, and they didn't even put lossless audio into their 80 megabit video stream. So who knows what these companies are going to do when, but nobody's seen fit to deliver it to us yet in terms of streaming based high fidelity lossless audio content, and who knows if they will. The masses certainly don't need it. It's us niche home theater folks that really want that. And so, man, if disc goes away and streaming doesn't advance and we don't have Kaleidescape, that's it for us. You're not going to have another choice. And there's nobody else entering this market. Yeah, you have your Zapitis, you have your Dunes, you have all that, but that's not Kaleidescape. It wants to look like Kaleidescape, but it's certainly not Kaleidescape in form and function. That's ripping discs. If you can't get the content in your hand on a coaster that you can get the bits off of and put it on your own NAS and play it off your own Zapiti, you're done. You can't even get the bits. There's a reason Kaleidescape has like 500 plus more movies and pieces of content in 4K that's been released on disc. In that gap, it's only going to grow. There's no other competition here. Nothing else competes with it. Nothing else does what it does. And there's nothing coming in any immediate future that I know of from any companies or whatnot. And so yeah, is it expensive? Well, yes, but it also depends. In the home theater space, so much. We're talking about projectors costing $10K to $25K for those new JVC-NZs. $3,000 to $5,000 in amps and processors. This Trinoff sitting right here is 18 grand. Well, and thankfully it's a demo because I certainly wouldn't be buying it myself. But still, there's all this stuff in home theaterdom that is crazy expensive. People spend thousands and thousands of dollars on power cords and interconnects, let alone actual display and processing devices that do so much for our setups. So, I mean, we're talking about dedicated rooms and racks of gear costing $20K, $50K, $100K and up. So with an entry point of $6,000, is that really so obscene? I don't know. To me, it's really not. And the cost of entry for Kaleidescape over time has actually only gone down. If you wanted to buy a Kaleidescape maybe 10 years ago or 12, 15 years ago, you're probably spending 50 grand for all of the Blu-ray ripping servers and all the different pieces you needed. Now you can buy one little simple piece of kit, 6 grand, it does it all. It's a complete system. And that probably is only still going to get cheaper. They're going to want to grow their base. They're going to want to sell to more people, and making more integrated, smaller products and lowering the prices, it's inevitably going to have to be part of that. So I will say, yeah, meh to the storage prices and so on, and the cost of a 72 terabyte Tera, I'll call that obscene, sure. It's way, way more than the cost of the hard drives and all the stuff that goes into it. But two things there. One, you don't really even need it. This is a Strato S 6 terabyte. It holds 100 movies. I can delete, re-download, purchase new content, push content to that thing via my phone or the internet via web, anywhere that I want. I can manage it and access it basically from anywhere. I can control what's on it, and that one takes 45 minutes for me to download, maybe 30, 45 minutes to download a 4K movie. Yeah, the Teras and all that stuff can do it faster, but if I'm sitting at work or sitting at the kids' soccer practice and say, oh, this new movie's coming out, I'm going to go ahead and buy it and download it, it's going to be ready by the time I sit down that night or another night to watch it regardless. It's awesome. And anything that I buy from Kaleidescape stays in my account. I can delete local stuff, I can re-download things. I have 1,200 plus movies in my Kaleidescape library. I don't need Teras holding all of that stuff here in my rack. I'm not on a yacht, I'm not in a plane. I'm in a house, permanently connected with a large amount of bandwidth and download capability to the internet. I don't need every movie available for one-click play. If I want to spend that money and buy those Teras, I can, but that's the ultimate benefit of choice. And so getting into Kaleidescape doesn't require buying everything, buying all these Teras, having enough storage for your entire movie library if it doesn't fit your means or your needs. And sure, even 6 grand is still a lot for some systems. It's certainly a lot if your home theater is a 55-inch OLED and a soundbar. Honestly, a 55-inch OLED and a soundbar just isn't the target market for this yet. Maybe it will be in 3 years or 5 years or 8 years with some smaller type of device that works a little bit differently. But I would go out on a limb here and say if your home theater is a 55-inch OLED and a soundbar, you don't need a Kaleidescape. You don't even need discs. Buy a frickin' Apple TV or a Roku and enjoy the heck out of it. You don't have the screen size and the audio presentation to really even completely resolve lossless audio and see the value of all of those bits anyway. And you can talk razors and razor blades, you can talk the cost of content. At least particularly in the last year, Kaleidescape has demonstrated a very strong willingness to help people shepherd into the platform by making disc to digital prices much less expensive, facilitating in the dealer network to get people access to Altos and the disc-based players that they could use to migrate their collections in. And yeah, some of the prices in the store are pretty stupid. $36.99 for a movie, but that's not Kaleidescape's fault. That's Paramount, that's Warner Brothers charging the stupid prices. And I agree that's completely expensive. In my opinion, there shouldn't be a single movie in that store over $30, let alone maybe over $25. But Kay takes a lot of blame for stuff that they don't deserve the blame for. All that time that we were missing the immersive audio codecs for the Fox movies and the NBC Universal movies, that wasn't Kay. Kay wanted to deliver that stuff to us, but they have to work with these studios. They have to work with these companies. They're the intersection between us as the customer and these content providers, and unfortunately they're kind of stuck in the middle of us at times, doing the best they can. A lot of the issues, I think, that are directed at Kaleidescape shouldn't be directed at Kay. They should be directed at the studios. If the favorite movie that you wanted to watch or rent isn't available or wasn't available to rent in 4K, again, Kay would give us everything. I firmly believe this. Let me say it this way. Kay would give us everything under the sun in terms of content and fidelity and all of this types of access to this stuff if they could. And they spend a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort working with partners and licensing things and doing all of this stuff to bring us everything that they have to date. And if they could snap their fingers and put the Netflix exclusives in there at high fidelity and fill in all these gaps in the store and upgrade all these things to 4K, I firmly believe these folks would do it in a heartbeat. But it's an incredibly challenging job to work with so many companies, partner with so many content providers, and do everything that they do. Give them some faith that they are doing the best they can by us paying customers that are just hungry for this stuff, hungry for this content. I think it's also a little, say, disingenuous of people to look at the cost of something and just deride it. There's a whole lot of really expensive things in this world, a whole lot of stuff that to me, like, I would never spend that kind of money on it, whether we're talking like clothes or even in some cases cars. But when a Lamborghini drives by me on the freeway, I don't like look at it with derision and hate. I look at it as like, wow, that's a pretty awesome car. Maybe I'll buy one. Maybe I'll be able to afford one someday if I do the right things along the way and everything works out for me. But maybe not. And if I can't afford it, so be it. I would have rather had the Tesla Model S, but we bought a Model 3 because we just simply didn't want to spend that money. It wasn't worth it relative to everything else we have going on in our life and the places that we would save or spend those dollars. The Model 3 performance was plenty enough, and I'm completely happy with it. But I don't know, I don't get putting things down because a company makes a product and they charge what they think the market rightfully will support and what they need to charge to design and develop and continue and operate their company. I mean, we don't know the business dealings. You don't know the balance sheet of Kaleidescape. And I think it's pretentious to think that all of the folks, the managers and the engineers and all of the people that work at Kaleidescape are like just laughing at us sitting on mountains of cash every day. They just go into the office. They don't do anything. They don't want to get all those movies from these studios and put them up in the store. They're just sitting there on the computer while they count their money and laugh at us for buying these crazy expensive devices. I don't really think that's what's happening, right? And as an engineer, somebody that's built a lot of technology, designed and built a lot of software, that stuff is hard, it's challenging, it takes money, it takes licensing, it takes partnering, it takes paying people, good engineers, to be able to build stuff. And in terms of what they've done and they've offered, if you look at the spectrum of everything that these players do in terms of security, protections, content licensing, serving, processing, there is a lot of cost centers involved with providing what they're providing. And again, there's a reason they're a monopoly. Nobody else is doing this. If you think you can put together a company like that in the snap of a finger and put it out there and have every movie under the sun offered on your service for some $9.99 price on a $1,000 box, then go ahead. If you can make it happen, I'm sure a lot of people would buy it. But ultimately, it's not likely, it's not reasonable. I'll flip another narrative about Kay as well. One of the things that you see brought up online is the fact that, some years ago, they almost failed. They almost went out of business. And what happens if I buy this product and I buy these movies and they go out of business again? So my flip on that narrative is to say, there's a whole lot of companies that almost went out of business before. Apple almost went out of business. Tesla almost went out of business. Different companies at different stages of their history and company strength have had years of excellent stability, and sometimes where things weren't so stable. So again, I'll flip the narrative. I don't fear that Kaleidescape is going to go out of business and leave my Strato and my content stranded. I'm looking back and I'm actually happy that they didn't go out of business the first time. They weathered their storm, and in the years since, they've designed, developed, shipped, partnered, and loaded this thing with so much amazing content that I'm here dancing a jig that they're still around. And I hope they're around for the next 40 years or whatever it is of my home theater entertainment. Because again, if disc diminishes or continues to diminish away into a nothingness and technology standards go forward and Apple and Voodoo and all these other companies don't really see fit to cater to us niche enthusiasts and they want to hit the masses with their 55-inch TVs and soundbars, and that's it, man, again, we better hope that this company sticks around. We should be their champions because ultimately they're our champion. So, I don't know. I don't get the derision. If Kaleidescape is too expensive or unbalanced for your system in its current form today with its current products and its current offerings, then it is what it is. Don't buy it. If I had my living room system as I do with just 2.2 channel audio and my 85-inch Sony, and I didn't have my theater room, quite honestly, I probably wouldn't own a Kaleidescape. I have my Apple TV up there, and I would happily watch all my movies and all my content sourced from iTunes and everybody else on that device. But on the other side of this wall, I've got a 135-inch screen. I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars invested in this rack and over there in that room. And this is my choice for sure. I'm tired of discs. I don't want to deal with walls of discs. And I'm certainly done ripping and managing servers and Make MKV and Plex and all of that stuff. So yeah, let me know what you think. If Kaleidescape is something that really gets you riled up and distresses you in the pit of your stomach, go ahead and post in the comments. Ask some legitimate questions. Let's start a discourse and let's talk about it. I'm all in for it. I think it's great. And that's my Kaleidescape rant. So please like and subscribe for more content. I got so much stuff coming. I've got videos waiting to be scheduled for publishing that I've already made about some new devices that I've gotten my hands on. And I've been doing a whole bunch of thinking about the next steps for my home theater enthusiasm and my room and my rack and my spaces. So much exciting stuff ahead. Thanks.